Support comes from ServiceNow. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With ServiceNow AI Platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents. Support for the show comes from Amazon Prime. You might think of Prime as only a way to get fast, free delivery, or maybe as the place to stream movies, shows, and sports. But it's actually way more than that. Maybe you've got a passion or a hobby. Prime can help you get the most out of it. Whether you're streaming documentaries on marine animals, ordering action figure stands with free one-day delivery, or finding the perfect playlist to impress that special someone, Prime makes it easier and faster to do what you love. Whatever you're into, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Please welcome to the stage Served hosts John Wertheim, Mike Hayden, and Andy Roddick for a live show presented by Amazon.
Break the ice.
Oh, gosh.
John, don't open that Olipop.
Yeah.
Plan that.
So the guy who is just using his face to stop his fall is producer Mike, right here. My man John Wertheim, you know him from Tennis Channel, little show called 60 Minutes. Thank you for having us. This is our dumb little tennis show called Served. We appreciate you caring enough to come out and talk some things US Open. We have two really special surprise guests, all brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, it is on Prime. We appreciate your support. It has been fantastic. Okay, I got a question for you, Mike. Mm-hmm. When you're not falling up the stairs,
Which is often.
when you're not falling up the stairs, can you let's take it back for a second. Okay, let's go way back. What would you say your biggest accomplishment was when you were 16?
Wow. I was probably showing up to school on time or not falling up steps.
Really overachieving.
Yeah.
Really big stuff.
I set the bar low.
Okay. What was your that's the best of it? That's the best of it?
That was it.
That was the best of it.
That was it.
And then what were your dumbest decisions?
Oh, man. I don't think I can say these.
Okay, so you're not going to answer. JW, what would your average thing be when you were 16? I wet the bed until I was 11.
I'm thinking it's 16.
That's okay to laugh. It's fine. I'm not ashamed anymore. We're fine.
16, I got in trouble for trying to get gum out of my shoe with a hammer and a nail. And I did get a driver's license. That was pretty cool.
Well, you guys.
I don't know where you're going with this, but...
well, I'll tell you where I'm going with this. Our first special guest, while you were trying to get gum off of your shoe with a hammer and you were learned how to use an alarm clock, our first guest was winning the U.S. Open at 16 years old in 1979. And then it's okay, well, it's not 16, but won it again at 18 years old. Hall of Famer, very, very good friend of mine. Put your hands together for two-time U.S. Open champion, Tracy Austin.
Watch those stairs. Yeah. Watch the stairs.
Thank you. Oh. Okay. Thank you. Great to be here.
Tracy Austin.
Tracy Austin, everyone.
Hi, Andy.
Hi. This is fun. So Tracy and I, for the last 13 years, we kind of have this shtick thing we do for various corporate sponsors over at the U.S. Open. And I got to be honest. I call Tracy for this U.S. Open, for this tournament.
For these 2 weeks.
For these 2 weeks, we see so much of each other. I call her my work wife, which is strange when your real wife is in the audience. So also weird. Tracy, 16 years old. You win the U.S. Open. Is that still weird for you? Was it never weird for you?
It was not weird then, and it's very weird now. Because when you're playing and you're starting to play on the tour when you're 14, you did it young.
Yeah, you guys can relate, right?
No. But Andy, you did it so young. You were less than 21 when you won the U.S. Open. So you did the same thing, but you kind of progressed gradually, and you move up, and then it's the next thing, and then you're losing to Chris and Martina. You finally beat them. Then you're able to beat them at the Open, and it's a progression. So you're kind of thinking going in that I can do this because I think I was top 3 in the world. It wasn't like it came out of nowhere like Raducanu. But now that we have 3 boys of our own, and they were just trying to get out of the driveway at 16 without crashing.
Like him.
Yeah,
Just like
I kind of, it's surreal. It does feel, and you gave the year, Andy. You're not supposed to do that. You're just supposed to say 16 and 18. Otherwise, they're all doing math right now and
sorry.
figuring out how old I am.
That's my bad.
You're bad.
Yep.
That's just one for today. But so yeah, I mean, it's definitely surreal and kind of weird to think about.
Were you too young to understand like consequence? Like I know the last major final I played, I was the most nervous as opposed to like the first couple I played where it's like it's all ahead of you. Were you aware enough, kind of aware? Was it just fun, cool? I just go casually beat Chrissy and Martina in US Open finals.
It was almost like a great thing that I was so young and that I didn't have a lot of scar tissue. I think there are a lot of players that play, 10, 12, 15, 20 Grand Slams and lose in the quarters, lose heartbreakers in the semis, and then it starts to build up. But I was so young at 16 that I hadn't had all of those kind of experiences. So when I beat Martina, my brother said, if you beat Martina, call me, I'll get on the plane. So I beat Martina, got on the plane, and it was kind of like we stayed at a house that I'd been staying with this family in Long Island since I was 10 years old. So it was really cool. On the off days, I didn't even come into town to play here. Yeah. I just played, they had a house with a tennis court, so probably not even the same surface or the same speed, but it was more important just to kind of chill. It's chaotic over there. The US Open. There's so many people, practice courts, you lose energy. So I stayed there and coming to the US Open, kind of was doing tongue twisters with my brother, wasn't aware that beating Chris, she was a 4-time champion already.
Just like doing Mad Libs.
Can we quit tongue twisters?
Tongue twisters, yeah, tongue twisters. And so I think it was I was so young, I didn't understand, as you said, the consequences. And then when you beat Martina and then Chris, and you're doing the Today Show and the Good Morning America, and your life changes and it's upside down. I'm sure you did the same. I always say, you're kind of not a major champion, or you are, and when you are, your world changes. Yours must have done the same.
Yeah, it did, but I think there's...
I remember playing ping pong with you during the tournament before you won.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Really?
I remember. We played against the Bryan brothers.
Who won?
Ooh, that's a tough
We won.
matchup.
Yeah.
We did?
won. Yeah, because you were so good.
Oh, sweet.
I was
Say it
just
again.
getting-
Say it again.
I was
Who did we beat?
the Bryan brothers,
Wow.
greatest
Hall
doubles
of
team of
Famers.
all time.
Hall of Famers.
That was not because of me.
That's not, well, you say that, but that's not your biggest mixed doubles victory. You won, how's this? Okay, so you casually win the
Wait,
US
first,
Open.
Andy, you got to show them your notes.
For what?
Yeah, how much he
You're gonna,
prepares for this. I just
man.
love this.
You're
Like,
going to pull back the curtain on our
This is,
extensive
all right,
preparation.
fine, I'll do it. This is the served research department.
there it is. I mean, it's like 4 words. Andy,
Yeah, Tracy
this
and
is
Austin.
what I love
are two of them.
working with. It's just
all
so
shorthand.
easy.
So I don't think they care about our notes. They probably care more about, so you,
I think it's cool though. You're just so well versed. You just go with it.
who did we beat in ping pong?
The Bryan
Yeah,
brothers.
that's right.
Bob and Mike Bryan, who just got inducted last week.
That's right. You won. This is also interesting. Like, I'm just trying to imagine your world in this moment in time. Like you see the pictures of Tracy. It's like pigtail. I mean, it's the best. You also won a mixed doubles Grand Slam with your brother.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's like a huge thing. Like, that's like a dream of anyone. Was that like just a cat? Was that?
You had a brother that played so well.
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't win anything.
No.
Like, we would have beaten the Bryans in ping pong. But
No, it was pretty special. Wimbledon is played on grass, as you all know, and I just thought it would be good to play a few more matches on that surface under pressure with returns and serves and such. So John and I, my older brother, who was ranked about maybe 60 in the world, decided to play mixed doubles, and just thinking, just a little bit of extra. And then we kind of were beating Yvonne Goolagong and John Newcomb, and then VJ Armitage and Virginia Wade, and we just kept going. And it was kind of cool because our other siblings were there, our parents were there. So every night we'd go, and I don't know about you, but I'm very superstitious. So I had ribs the first night. So I
I'm
had
just
ribs.
a little stitious.
Yeah, so
Not
then I
super
had to have ribs every single night, ribs again. I think I gained 5 pounds during that tournament, 10 pounds. So yeah, and so it was really special to win with a sibling. We were the first brother-sister team to win. And I think you could either kind of get on each other's nerves or you could really support each other. And he knew exactly what to say when it was my turn to serve, because I was always panicked about my serve, didn't have a serve like you. And he knew exactly what to do to kind of take the pressure off. So to feel that moment and to have that moment together all these years even is really special.
So let me ask, how many of you guys are going to the tennis after this? So when you walk in this gate out here, you will see a plaque of two-time champion Tracy Austin. And you know what it says? Unrivaled mental toughness. And we've seen teenagers come on and make a splash in this sport, but usually they come with this precocious power, right? But Jennifer Capriati was ripping the ball, and Venus, and even the gentleman 2 seats over. Tracy Austin, this lovely woman here, was the
You don't see power? You don't see power here, John?
This is not someone hitting 120 miles an hour. This was a ferocious competitor, though. As a teenager in particular, though, where do you source that from? Where does that mental toughness come from? Can
Andy,
you
I
teach
hate
it?
talking about
Explain.
myself this whole
What
time.
did you
Are
think
we
was
gonna
going to
talk
happen
about
when you
the-
came here?
We're actually,
That's the whole point.
All right,
Right over
forget it.
there.
Let's do tongue twisters.
How much would but was it natural ingrained practice?
It was. It's funny. Growing up, though, I did that game concentration with the cards where you flip over two at pairs with my dad almost every night. I just love things like that. My coach, who was also Coach Sharapova and Lindsay Davenport and Pete Sampras, he did these relentless drills. I'm sure you've heard of Robert Lansdorp.
Yep.
And you would have to hit 20 in a row, and if you got to 18, you'd have to start over again. I loved it. Everybody else was like, that's enough of that. That sounds boring, tedious, and I love the challenge of that. So I think it was kind of innate for me. I love the discipline of it, and then I couldn't have had a better coach with my personality. Not everybody loved that type of thing, but Robert, I think, brought out the best in. Funny enough, when Maria Sharapova, when she was 9 years old to work with Robert, he said actually her focus wasn't that great. We know what it became.
Really?
5-time major champion. So he had these drills, and he'd cheat you on purpose. Like it'd be 14-7 for me, and he'd go 14-7, and I'd be he'd try on purpose, and he knew, kind of chuckle with it, to kind of deal with adversity. Lots of different spins, slices, top spins, anything to try to really prepare you for all that was going to come.
Something that I want to, Tracy, she has better things to do, so she's going to head out of here in a little bit. But one thing I think you have a unique, or you probably have a unique perspective on, is like the pressure systems, right? We've seen this week Coco, who's one of the most mentally tough humans I've ever seen, right, had a moment and where it was
too much
laid bare and 24,000 people watching, and you're dealing with parts of your game that you feel like you're not completely in control of. And we forget Coco's been around for a long time. She's 22.
She's 21.
21, sorry.
21?
The research department. So she's 21. But can you talk through, when you watch a Coco or someone else who is a young phenom, do you feel like you can relate on a certain level? Do you understand what she's going through? Or is it different in this day and age where you can't actually, we're actually talking about on the way over here, that you can't actually escape it, right? With social media, with everything else. Do you ever compare and contrast what it was like for you versus what it was like for Coco? And do you feel like a kinship with phenoms?
Absolutely. I do think that it's 10 times more or 100 times more because...
Now.
Yes, absolutely. You cannot escape it. I mean, there was magazine articles, there was newspaper articles that were going to come out the next day. This is immediate. It's immediate response in P1 through P5, right? If you go out there and practice. We saw Coco the other day practicing her serve with her new service coach, Gavin McMillan, who had actually fixed Sabalenka's serve 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago when she got the yips. So Coco broke up with Matt Daly and brought on Gavin to try to fix the serve. That's hard to do, but I actually respect her immensely 2-3 days before the Open starts.
Tough ask.
That's a tough ask to technically try to change your serve. I mean, we're already thinking about so much. And you think about what Coco's taking on, so many endorsements. I think she's done an amazing job.
No doubt.
But on the women's side, at the U.S. Open, it's Coco Gauff first and others. Even Sabalenka's #1 in the world. Everybody that goes here, they want to watch Coco play. What she did at Roland Garros this year was phenomenal. That wasn't as much a tactical match, a tennis match, as it was just an athlete digging in with her legs and saying, I'm going to get every ball back in play, and digging in with her mind and saying, this is how I'm going to play in this nasty wind. And Sabalenka kind of disintegrated, was complaining about the wind, and that was hard to see, actually. Someone #1. It's windy on Coco's side as well, but Coco realized that those are the conditions that she was going to have to deal with, and extracted about 70 unforced errors from Sabalenka. So just all of the pressures that she has, it sounds sometimes, it's a great thing, obviously, but it's also every moment that everywhere she goes. I mean, you see it. Everywhere you go, somebody wants an autograph, sometimes you're having a tough day or you're having a tough moment, and then people will say, oh, Coco wasn't that kind to me in that 5 seconds. So it's a lot, and I loved Coco's attitude after she lost that match. It was a very difficult match to play against Osaka. By the way, can we give
Osaka played amazing.
Can we give her kudos? She's
Yes.
a year and 9 months from coming back from maternity leave, and just brought on Thomas Wiktorowski about a month ago at the Canadian Open up in Montreal. First tournament back. Something he said clicked, because she got to the finals, the best tournament that she's had since she had her baby. And then now into the quarters. She hasn't been into the quarters in 4.5 years, and played incredible. I think the best match that she's played. He's worked on her defense. He's worked on so many areas of her game, but worked on her consistency. Before, she would try to hit winners, I think, too soon in the point. She's trusting herself more, and she just broke down Coco's forehand. That was tough to watch. I mean, we've played at that level with all those people watching. I've never played where I had a stroke that was so deficient that it kind of, lack of confidence bleeds into the rest of your game. That's got to be tough for Coco. So last thing I was going to say is Coco, the way that she handled it, she said, I'm 21. I hope her team helped her with this. And I'm noticing that 25, 26, Sabalenka's in that range. She's got so many years to still to compete and get better and really become even a more well-rounded player.
Isn't that a great virtue of tennis, though, that you can win a major like less than 90 days ago, and suddenly you're struggling. The flip side is Naomi Osaka was really struggling and wasn't getting the second week of majors, makes a coaching change. When was that, like August 1st? And now she's, in the quarters of the U.S. Open.
We were discussing whether Iga Swiatek was going to stay in the top 10, like
French,
10 seconds ago.
Exactly.
All of a sudden wins Wimbledon. Hadn't been past the quarters. How about Yannick Sinner losing those 3 championship points in a row? And then
oh man, he's going to have a long time to recover. That could be a year to get over that scar tissue.
That's what sports is about. It's about trying to deal with. I think it's Andy. You tell me, but it's the highs are great, the wins are fantastic, but it's really about managing the lows. If you can,
it's about getting getting up.
Getting up.
If you're good at getting up, I think that's a superpower. I really do.
During a match as well.
Yeah,
that's what Coco does so well. It doesn't matter what the score is. She truly believes. I think actually Taylor Fritz does a good job with that. I think the champions do. They truly believe no matter what the score is, I'm going to figure a way out of this match.
Yeah, and I think the biggest misconception is that when you're down and out, you have to feel good about going to work.
Yeah.
Right? You don't. But you still got to get your reps in, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to, not warm and fuzzy. You lose a Wimbledon final, you come home, your heart hurts on the next Thursday, but you get up and you do your work, and then you go home and be sad. But get your work in, right?
Yeah. I always say you give 100% of what you have that day.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
If you've got 60% that day, even with your kids, if they've only studied so much and they've got a final tomorrow on Friday and you haven't had time because of other reasons, well, give 100% of what you got that day. Some days you're tired, you played a 5-setter, I played a 3-setter the day before, and you just got to give what you got.
Something else that is amazing to me is, with all of your successes, the most rattled that I think I will ever see you is Tracy's.
I know where you're going with
Tracy's son, Brandon, he made the top 100 this year on the tour. Has played in U.S. Open, beat a guy named Taylor Fritz a couple of years ago at this home slam. Talk us through, it's this sport,
right? It's this sport that you've known for your entire life, that you're comfortable with the orbit of it, you know how it all works. And then you have a son who's playing the U.S. Open. Does it feel like you know nothing when you go to watch him play, or do you know too much?
You're making me get anxious right now just talking about it.
It's going to be fine. It's all going to be.
fine,
It's all
really?
going to be okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
I don't need to go to therapy.
But talk us through like the pride mechanisms, how hard it is, when to jump in, when to stay back. Like that's not easy.
No, it is. It's really tough. I think it's actually one of the most proud things I am of, if that's good English, not sure, but of our 3 boys. I'll tell you very quickly, our first son came along, he was playing a tournament, and my husband and his dad took Dylan, the oldest, I think this is okay to say, and it was a Saturday, and Dylan said before the match, he said, okay, Dad, let me get this straight. If I win today, do I have to come back tomorrow? Like, okay, I don't think we really are going to be, playing any matches on the Pro Tour. So we had to pull back, which was hard for me. You seem to have done it very well, but it was really hard for me not to go full throttle in everything that I do. So I'm like, okay, we're just going to hang here. And then Brandon came along, this number 2. He loses 7-5 in the third. And I'm going, oh, let's go get some ice cream. Ice cream? I just lost 7-5 in the third. I'm like, oh, we got a live one here. I realized,
Got a Tracy here.
I realized at that point that I had to pay much more attention as a parent, that they're not all the same, right? And I have to really pay attention to what's happening. And then with Brandon, this is going everywhere, Andy, right? I mean, he's probably going to hear this.
No one listens to this.
No one listens. There's nobody. But he doesn't always want to listen to what I say. So oftentimes you kind of just, don't listen to this part, Brandon. Oftentimes I'll just go through the coach,
Oh.
Yeah, I do have the coach's phone number, Brandon. Sorry.
Oh. Breaking news.
Oh, you draw this out of me every time.
Have couches next time.
Yeah, but it is hard to watch them play, because you want your children to do so well, and also we have no control. Like, you feel like when you played or we played, we were ready to go and we were going to put it on the line, and what happened. I have no control when he's out there, and I just want him to be happy. Right?
What did Rafa say that one time? What happened is happened.
What's happening in Rome, happening in Rome. What happened in Monte-Carlo, happened in Monte-Carlo.
Tracy,
Happening.
I've
That's
never
it.
seen this side of you.
It's amazing.
Andy brings us out. I tell you what,
Yeah.
we got to talk about when we do our shtick.
We do. You're the one that has a schedule. I'll stay here all day. Like I'm trying.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get you to your
Well,
next
I
thing.
work with Andy. I just want to talk about him for 1 second. He is the kindest, because we go to suites and we sometimes do it for 4 hours at a time. One suite, and we'll go 9, 10 different suites. And we're talking to the different people, but we've got to tell the same story. And so I'm sitting there, and he tells all of a sudden this joke out of left field, and I've got to deal with that. And then we go back and forth. But he makes it fun. I don't even feel like we should be paid, because we have such a good time.
It's the only part that's kind of rough about it is that Tracy uses filthy language. just disgusting. Tracy, I love you. I appreciate you. You're a legend of the sport. The sport's better for having had you in it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy Austin.
Thank you, Andy. Congratulations, guys. You guys are awesome.
Support for the show comes from Amazon Prime. You might know Prime for fast, free delivery, or maybe as your favorite place to stream shows, movies, and sports. But it's also a great way to dive deeper into your hobbies and passions. Into cooking? You can buy new cutlery at the same time you watch your favorite cooking show on Prime Video. Into crafting? Prime can be your gateway to a kingdom of yarn and felt. Is it finally time to fix those broken drawers? Yes, it was a year ago. You can find the tools on Prime. If you're thinking about picking up a new hobby, Prime makes it easy to dive in. From getting how-to books to making playlists on Amazon Music that keep you pumped while you organize your new model trains. Prime helps you go from, maybe I'll try it, to, I'm now obsessed with this, in no time. I've used Prime this week to buy a finger splint for a kid's finger that got stuck in a door. I got an Earth, Wind & Fire album cover, a Little League chest protector. Techie Sean, what's the last thing that you bought on Prime? Look quickly.
I got some trail mix for the office.
Great story, super exciting. The point is, whatever you're into, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into. Is our next guest here?
He's here.
All right, well, then let's get right to it. To help us with this portion, we're going to chat about the U.S. Open for a little bit. We're going to get into some Q&A if you guys have any. I thought, who better than one of the best coaches that has ever lived? Brad Gilbert's here with us.
flashlight on it.
I'm not going to stack.
Oh, man.
Hello, fellas.
All right, big pressure. You know who you succeeded up here.
Athletes manage better.
Okay, I'll take my hat off.
Oh, wow.
Show you my bald dome.
Yeah, I got one of those. How's it going, BG?
It's going okay. You know, we're getting to the business end. And, you know, as you get older, you kind of, you know, this tournament's now 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that first week, and then you start getting here and you start really kind of seeing where the tournament's going. And you kind of thought where the men's started, we're exactly where you thought you'd be, and you're kind of exactly thinking where we're going.
Yeah. Talk about, we'll stick with the men's for a second, but talk through, you know, from Andre and Pete, you know, when you started with Andre back to when you were playing and there were great players, you know, you're talking, you know, Becker, Edberg, and the end of McEnroe, O'Connor's. And so you've seen greatness in all its form. You've played against it. You've coached against it. You've coached against Federer when we were together. And then these two come along again. And is it just the constant kind of improvement over time, right? Like we would play Pete, but like you could play Pete and it's like, okay, if you can hit a kick serve out of his zone on the backhand side, you got something to play with, right? He was great at every other thing, but are these players now building off of Rafa, Roger, Novak, et cetera, as complete as you've seen?
Absolutely, because if you've seen like some 12-year-old kids now, the level of kids in all different sports, because everybody's all in on one sport. And you'll see kids.
Meaning that you're not playing baseball, football, you're committing earlier.
You're just playing one sport. And the level that you're seeing and, you know, the commitment. I thought in 22, when Alcaraz won here at first, you know, it kind of took me back that like, wow, maybe this guy's going to jump in. And then in 23, Joker reestablished himself. Mm-hmm. So if you'd have told me at the start of 24 that Djokovic wouldn't win one from, you know, that point, I would have said, no way. But it's not like Alcaraz and Sinner have been given anything. These two guys have taken it and they've run with it. If you put Andre and Djokovic in a blender, you get Sinner. His level is outrageous right now. I'm just shocked. And honestly, what's even more surprising is I don't think he's anywhere near the finished product.
Wait. How? But like, explain that. What I mean, he makes the adjustment on the serve. Yeah. He now's got a little bit of like, where do you see the improvement?
Cheese? What are the holes in that game?
See, this is a great question, and you know the answer. If you're 24 years old and you're satisfied with where you are, then that's what happens to you. And if you're 24 years old, like Sinner, who seems to be a much older soul than he is, and he's always focused on talking about the narrative about, he doesn't think he's that good. You know, I need to get better.
I call bullshit.
But Rafa was like that. He's very humble. True. He's very motivated to get better. And I think that the fact that he has somebody in Alcaraz that he knows that if he doesn't get better, might, you know, eclipse him. So I think that, you know, keeps him motivated. And then that's, you know, for everybody else now to potentially get in the mix. I don't think it's possible at this moment, you know, unless I'm wrong, that anybody could beat those two guys back to back. That's how good they are. And I hate comparing them to the big three because it's like they were amazing. But these two guys now are taking it and they're 24 and 22. Maybe we check back in 10 years and it'll be the next two that, wow, you know. But honestly, I thought we would be in a 3 to 5 year period.
Parity.
Of, right. Yeah. Who would be the guy? Well, they've erased that.
That's great, though. Anyone else still trying to get the image of Novak and Andre in a blender out of their head? Let me ask you an adjacent question. I do these interviews, and one thing I always notice is there's so much talk about pressure. I didn't feel the pressure. I felt the pressure. When you're in coach mode, whether it's Andy or Coco or whoever, how do you explain to you're trying to get the player motivated, you want them to explain the way to the occasion, but you don't want to add to the pressure? How do you coach and reduce pressure and not intensify it?
You know, it's an interesting thought, but, you know, I'm a quirky dude. I like waking up at 3 a.m. and thinking about the match or how you're going to help in some way make a difference. You don't win the match, you don't lose the match. But honestly, I get much less nervous about the coaching than if you had to play like I had to fucking play, you'd be nervous. you know, so part of it is.
We know what he means by that, right?
Part of it is you're helping the player try to figure out how to maximize what they do well and understand what's on the other side of the net. And I try to make it, as less complicated as you can. And the one thing about coaching now, it's become way more complicated in that, man, when I was coaching Coco, they would send me 350 pages of data a day.
Who's they?
Her dad and the team, and from 4 different sites and everything like that. And my first thought is, they have all of that data on you. And the algorithm that's writing it isn't taking any human factor into it that, okay, we know they're going to play her forehand. I don't care what it says. Or there's some of these things, and a lot of coaches now in a lot of sports only hide behind the data.
Well, the other thing with that is, and this is something that, amongst other things, and I want to answer how do you deliver the message for the thing, because I have my own personal thing. But it's also about the data set values 15-all in game 1 the same as it does a point at 5-all in the third set breaker. So it's like you were very good at, okay, listen, this person likes this shape, they cut their serve, take their most uncomfortable serve, give that to them. Right, make them take away their strength, make them hit the weak spot. So is your thing like the data set doesn't tell the entire story?
Well, I'll just know this. If I told Andre that the data said 90% of the time on this big point, he's going wide to the backhand. Andre's backhand's way better. And then the one time he does it, and Pete could beat an algorithm. He could change. Great players can make adjustments on the fly. And a lot of times, data is great over a long period of time. But in a one-off match situation, you have to be prepared that your opponent can make adjustments. And there's a really good chance that at the business end of the tournament, that guy or girl's level is good enough to make a change that day.
I'll tell you one thing that I'm fascinated about, because I'm not good at it. When someone comes into work for a couple days, I know what I think. I can analyze matches. I can sit here and talk on our dumb little tennis pod for days upon days about what I see. But I'm in a hurry to deliver the information, right? The best coaches that I'm now learning from talking to you, and Killer Cahill came on, is the timing and how to deliver a message, right? Talk about the different personalities that you've worked with. Because I remember the morning of our US Open final, it's kind of hectic. We play 5 sets. You're treating feet that have blisters and eating, and all of a sudden you wake up and it's that day, and you treat it like no other different. I remember us walking off the court for warm-ups, and it was very simple. Make this a heavyweight fight. Your biggest punch is bigger than this guy's biggest punch, and pose your will on him. And it's like, oh, okay, we could have talked for 25 minutes about something, but that's the last thought I had right before it was actually time to settle in and kind of think about things.
So what's really important about coaching, see, if you say red, it's black. If you say, you have a little argumentative side to you, and your attention span is completely different.
What?
This guy?
Just hey, we're all in this sport. You got quirky, and part of understanding coaching is, okay, Andre liked to discuss in great length, and you didn't. If I started getting in great length with you, you would tune it out. Maybe the message wouldn't get, what we needed. And sometimes with players, just because it works with one person doesn't mean it's going to work with another. And that's the really important thing about coaching. And I'm not a type of coach that has a philosophy. Some football coaches only have a philosophy. And I'm like, what happens if you don't have the players for your philosophy?
Explain that. So if you played a certain way, you can coach that way. But are you saying you have to see it through the player's eyes and adjust, or is it just it's not one size fits all?
Well, I think I learned on the fly when I was playing myself and coaching Andre. And instantly, when you think about tactics, sometimes you think about it through your own lens, what you might have done, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever through Andre's lens. So I started instantly understanding that, okay, when I start thinking about tactics, it's not what I would do, it's only what Andre would do to be successful. And going from Andre, who's detail-oriented insanely, to you, who everything is in short bursts and things gotta happen differently. And sometimes you like to be challenged and not. And you have to understand how the best way that you can navigate and communicate with the player. And I adjust to whoever I'm coaching, that how are we just gonna make you a little bit better? Because I always feel like the difference between being really good and being great is only 2-3%. And if you can find that, we made one little tweak with you. Do you remember the one little tweak that we made besides getting rid of the visor and the hair gel?
I was gonna say visor. I also think that had I kept the visor, I would have gotten like the sunshine, and I'd be like buckwheat right now. I'd be just like.
What's the answer?
No. So the one thing we changed right away on your game, for some reason, I'm watching, a couple days into practice. I didn't get why you were standing on the baseline to return serve. And I was feeling like, you know what? You don't have Andre's hands. You miss too many returns. You have an unbelievable serve. But if we move you back, especially early in sets, you make a return here. Maybe a guy gets tight. Players don't tend to play good games out the gate. Maybe you could steal a serve, in the first 2 games. Maybe it turns into a 27-minute set the way you could hold. So that little adjustment, all of a sudden, you started making a few more returns, not as offensive, but numbers. That numbers mattered, and I felt like it changed sets for you quickly.
Yeah, no, I agree. You say that you kind of, how long does it take you to get the cadence of when to jump in and when to jump out? Because I think something that is maybe not talked about enough when it comes to coaching, everyone can instantly tell you what a coach does great, right? But restraint is something that's not talked about enough in coaching, right? Sometimes it can be what you're not saying, or if you're holding it back for 2 or 3 weeks for the right time, can people handle 8 things at one time, or is it one thing? When do you feel comfortable in a player-coach relationship? Are you observing for the first month, or do you go in thinking in a couple of things, or is that up in the air as well?
God, you're making me question myself. Honestly, if I walk on the court, I go to work. And I think about whoever I'm coaching, whether or not it's a 4 or 5 player, whether or not it's a junior, you start thinking about day one, how are we going to get better? And my first thought is, and I've never changed from this, whatever happened, I'm sure whatever happened before doesn't matter. It ain't coming back. So you start with going forward. What's the point of waiting a month? Heck, if I think something, I'm going to tell you. And if I'm waiting a month.
What if you think 6 things? Do you go one at a time, or are we just opening the floodgates?
Whew. If we're thinking 6 things, Houston, we got a little
You didn't take the job?
There's a few more problems, but honestly, you always feel like there's a way, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And more often than not, Tracy brought it up, it was about my whole tennis career, my whole tennis life is about managing your game. Obviously, when you have more skills, it's still about managing your game, how to maximize it. And with you, we didn't make that many tweaks. It was little things. I remember about day 3 or 4 when I was coaching Andy, instantly everybody wanted me to get you to come to net more. And then I was thinking, God, you had this cup on your forehand volley.
Still have it.
Yeah. And
Not great.
And you could get passed in a phone booth.
Brad.
He didn't cover the net that well. And it was like, so I was thinking like, we got to be a little more selective about coming in and wait for the right opportunity, because it's easy sometimes to look at somebody, one strength, and think they can do another. So I feel like, I had a coach that would tell me in college, when Alan Fox. You ever meet Alan Fox?
Sure. Great.
He would tell me, no matter what, on everything, come to the net. And that was his thing. He would always, and I would always tell him, it's like, I feel much more confident on the baseline. No, but you'll present this. And I was like, Alan, it sounds good in theory, but he was a net player. He came in on everything, and it just didn't work for my game at 20. And I was really stubborn about it. But I never forgot it. And 6 or 7 years later, when I actually felt a little bit better about how I volleyed, it made more sense. But at that point, I wasn't ready, and nor did I have any confidence in it. And sometimes if you rush something that they're not ready for, or she's not ready for, it can cause more problems. But you want to get to something if it doesn't work well, especially in today's game.
So I was going to ask you a big macro tennis question, but you said something earlier that I'm still trying to. Did you say you were playing while coaching Andre?
Yeah, you didn't know.
So how does that? So tell people how that works. Sorry, Andre, I can't sit in your box because I'm third on court 7. How does that work?
That's exactly what happened.
Support for this show comes from ServiceNow, who are enabling people to do more fulfilling work, the work they actually want to do. There's a lot of talk about AI out there right now, and a lot of times the AI you hear about feels like it's hard to grasp. But ServiceNow is here to work with people and tackle the boring, busy work that always gets in the way, the stuff that slows you down and keeps you from doing the stuff you actually want to be doing. And they do it with their AI agents. By being built into the ServiceNow platform, they automate millions of repetitive tasks across IT, HR, customer service, and more. You can automate any process with AI-powered workflow generation. That means you can build workflows with reusable components, configurable playbooks, process mining, and advanced decision support. So your people can focus on what really matters, and that's putting AI agents to work for the people. Find out how to get started at servicenow.com/AI-agents.
Did you say you were playing while coaching Andre?
Yeah, you didn't know.
So how does that? So tell people how that works.
So it was in Key Biscayne when they were playing, back on the island in '94. Andre was coming off wrist surgery. He had just thumped me 2 weeks before in Scottsdale in the quarters. It was his first tournament back. We were practicing, and he said, "You want to go to dinner tonight?" And I said, "Sure."
You knew he was going to pick up the check.
He was pretty good about that. Yeah. Extremely good about that. And he told me, I'm staying at this place called Fisher Island. So, okay. So I had no idea that literally I had to go from the Intercontinental down the causeway and put my car onto a ferry. It was actually the first time I'd ever put my car on a ferry. So I go over and I meet him there, and we both play actually the next day. I was ranked 25 in the world. Andre was ranked 30. And literally, he was just there with his agent, who actually wasn't officially his agent then because he was only in law school, Perry. And he started asking me a lot of questions about, where he was headed in his career and what I thought he was doing. I was a little disheveled at this Italian place. They had shit beer. So we had to go over to the market and at least get a couple of decent beers. And
nice.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. And then we proceeded to talk for the next 3 hours about where he was going with his tennis. And basically at the end of it, I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, dude, I can help you tomorrow. And
Did you say those words?
I did. Exactly. I can help you. And I said, let's go at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And he goes, I never hit before 12. And I was like, dude, I play second on. And so literally we did hit. I played, and I literally finished. And I had to bolt over to the box. And then, it's probably one of the only matches after that I was ever late. He was playing Mark Petchey.
Oh, wow.
And mightily struggling. I was shocked.
Oh, Petch.
No, I'm serious.
Wow.
You can ask. He was mightily struggling. And somehow he got through this match, maybe 5 in the third. And it was the first time that you sat there and it was like, God, this is hard. This is hard when. And so about 2 hours later, I'm back at Fisher Island, and we're actually discussing the match. And at that point, I actually kind of thought Andre was kind of aloof about tennis. I didn't know that.
Yeah, seriously.
No, seriously, I didn't know he was a savant. And I started asking him about a point at 4-3 that you didn't take the ball at 30-15 and come in. And he said, what shot? And he proceeded to recite, like he was a radio play-by-play guy, 17 consecutive shots. I actually thought he was kidding. Then I picked every other point, and he could remember every shot of every rally. And so then I'll say, okay, I'm just not going to flippantly say something about a point because he actually remembers. So that was the start. I lost third round the next day to Peter Korda. And then literally that kind of started my focus on game plan and everything. He ended up, our first tournament together, I would say was one of the most unique experiences, and that Andre.
Do you consider that Miami tournament the first tournament together?
Yeah, definitely. So somehow Andre gets to the final. It's an early start. He's playing Pete in the final. And these guys have grown up together. And now for the first time, because I've played Andre 8 times, I've played Pete a bunch of times. This is the first time that I kind of understand the gravitas of those two playing. But as a competitor, you don't really understand it because you're always fixated with yourself. Mm-hmm. So we show up at 10 o'clock to hit, for maybe it's a 12:30-ish final. And when we get there, after we've warmed up, Pete's on an IV. And the tournament director comes over to me and he goes, Pete's sick. And I'm like, good. I'm like, really good. The check's check's going to be deposited. And so I go over and tell Andre, the tournament director just told me that Pete's sick. And Andre says, well, what's he need? I don't know.
Would not have been my first response.
Yeah, exactly. Me personally, I'm taking the trophy, I'm cashing the check.
Gone.
And you would have done the same?
Gone. Thank you.
So Andre said, how long does he need? Which, then the tournament director said, well, Pete says that, if he can play tonight, he'll be okay. So Andre literally gave him till.
I'm gonna be in Cabo tonight.
Yeah.
Pete.
So literally he gave him till 8 o'clock that night and went out and lost in 3 sets. And first of all, I couldn't believe the sportsmanship. The crowd was full. And literally we went out that night and he wasn't pissed. Not at all. And it really showed me something about Andre that was special, that first of all, I couldn't believe he would do that. I don't know of hardly any other competitor that would do that against your rival. And he just said, you know what? I wanted to play him to see where my game was. And amazingly, 12 months later, I played my last match. I lost to Todd Woodbridge 6-6. I was kind of disheveled about that loss. And Andre beat Pete in the final, tiebreaker in the third, to go from 30 in the rankings to 1 year later to 1 in the rankings. And my tennis kind of went in the shitter.
So I want to ask you one more thing before we get to some Q&A with the audience.
Sure.
So start thinking about what you want to ask.
Is that my water there?
It is if you want it, yeah. No one else's. No germs on it, BG.
What's happened to producer Mike? He's kind of been silent.
He's
I'm listening.
He's
I have nothing to add.
no. I looked.
Nice shoes, though. Good kicks.
I looked over and he was playing Angry Birds.
Yeah, it was.
So let's go. And for those of you who aren't here live, who will watch this show, an hour after it's done, we are about to go into the night session where Taylor Fritz is playing Novak Djokovic. Right now, I want your best coaching. You're in the locker room. Taylor Fritz is 4 in the world. He made the finals of the U.S. Open last year. Is a regular at the tail end of majors now, semis of Wimbledon. You're playing Novak Djokovic. Looked like he was struggling physically first 2 rounds, and yet here he is in the quarterfinals again. You have an 0-10 record against this guy. Convince me I'm going to beat him.
Yeah, he was. I think he called an
him
injury
he's gonna-
timeout in 3 of his 4 matches, and he's gotten better. What's more amazing is he's just playing majors now. He's just played French, Wimbledon, U.S. Open. I don't recall any player. I don't know if John, have you ever seen this? That a guy or a woman just played 3 consecutive majors, and
Yeah, I
he's
was about
in.
to say my first one I'd guess is Serena, but I need to fact check it. Right?
I'm not sure that if she ever did that, just no tournaments in between, is pretty
She would
remarkable.
be my best guess too, though.
Yeah, that's a good call. I said this the other day when we were talking about when guys have huge losing streaks against players. And maybe one of the things that's the toughest thing to navigate for the coach, listen, when you were coaching Roddick, I mean, when you were playing Fed, when I was coaching you, I didn't make a gravitas about that guy. We just talked about what we needed to do to hopefully be successful. So first and foremost, I think the opposite now, that he needs to go out and redline. Because everybody thinks he needs to get out of his comfort level, go big, and
You're saying most people would say Fritz has to go out and take higher risk, and you disagree.
because of where he's at right now, this tournament, he's actually played a little more conservative than I've ever seen him, playing with more shape. He's defending better. So I would say what he's been doing all tournament long, go out and play the first 6 games like that. See where it stands. See what Novak is doing. Is he playing bigger? Because Novak is serving more aggressively.
He's serving and volleying a lot too.
And he's playing a lot better. And then obviously, you do have the scar tissue. When you're an 0-for against somebody, I know what it feels like because I was 0-16 against Lendl. And the last time I played him, I was 0-15. I was 4-1 up in the third in Philly on a fast Supreme. And I knew that I had cracked my ankle, but I was probably playing loose. I had a high volley on top of the net to go 5-1 in the third. Absolutely choked it. I lose 7-5 in the third. I'm icing my ankle. I'm sitting on the training table. Lendl comes over, puts his arm around me, and he says, if I had 110 temperature and I was on my deathbed, I wouldn't fucking lose to you.
So would you tell Fritz that story before he had to go play Novak? Is that where we landed the plane?
Most importantly, back to Fritz. Stay within yourself. And now coaching is legal. You don't have to, do the third basing. Remember, I would tell you the BTC, Boca Town Center, serve wide.
Serve wide left. Not that we had signals.
Yeah, we had some good code words.
Not that this meant serve wide.
Yeah. Or my son, remember Zach, when he was small, I might have him yell something.
Yeah.
So you can actually tell your player and talk to your player.
We're not third base coaches anymore,
so
right? We're not. We just say it.
So I would go out and play the way he's been playing.
You'll double clap for someone that moved back and then go like, what I'm talking about.
And you know what I might do if normally it's a bad play for Fritz to get involved in long points with Novak. When the rally gets extended past 7, 8, 9 balls, the odds of him winning the point decrease incredibly. But now Novak is 38 years young. We've seen a couple times this tournament. He's had to do, he's gotten winded. He's had a blister. He's had some issues. The guy's amazing. But that's the first thing I would want to test. See how you can do in these rallies that before weren't a good play for you. So a couple of those things I might see. And maybe the one thing I would take a few more risk on that he maybe doesn't do sometimes, I would take a few more risk on his own second serve. I might take a few more chances on the second. And
directionally, pace, both?
Both. Yeah, I might amp up and say, you know what? If I'm going to just amp up on one shot, it's that. Because if you want to look at a number that really hurts Fritz against Novak is second serve points won, especially on those big points.
But also, if you miss it, it kind of sends a message where if a great hitter knows what's coming, right? If you tip your pitch, it's curtains. Anyone have a question for Brad? Yeah, right there.
Well, we have somebody with a
We have a mic
microphone
coming
here.
just
Yeah,
so
please.
it translates to the interweb.
Okay, first, I want you to know I'm wearing this hat ironically. Okay,
No, don't say that.
Musetti had a great tournament. People love him. He's flying the lonely flag for the one-hander. Doesn't have a place at the top level of tennis.
It's less of a place, in my opinion, and we'll get to Brad. I think returning has become so important, and I think with the new strings, right, the poly strings, which I for those at home, I always explain it. It basically, if you were to take an expert bowler and give them a foot on each side, bigger lane, they'd be able to come up with new spins. They would miss a lot less. That's how I equate. You give the best tennis artists in the world, a new toy to play with. All of a sudden, they can hold passing shots to the last second. That's why serve and volley is dead. Everyone can take full swings on a return, so it's not that chip anymore. So I think it's a lot tougher. I think you have to be like an otherworldly talent, like a Fed, right, where like the ball just melts into your string bed, and then all of a sudden you're neutral. I don't see like a huge comeback for one-handers. I don't think something's going to happen where all of a sudden 50 out of the top 100 have single-handers again. I think there's space for an outlier, but I don't think it's coming back.
Well, it's amazing that he's played well here because he had zero form. He'd won one match since the French.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I want to see? I hope I see it in my lifetime. I don't understand why two-handers all got one-hand ability. I want to see it.
What do you mean by that?
If you're a two-hander, right, it's kind of unusual if you don't have a decent slice, or some even two-handers have a really good slice, and so they have the use of one hand. I want to see a hybrid player.
You want to see someone return with two hands?
I want to see somebody return with two hands, like really good, be able to handle a high ball with two hands, because that's the biggest problem when you're a kid learning for a one-handed backhand. It's so much more difficult to return with one hand, and when they hit the high lob, it's miserable.
Is the game too fast to switch grips and recognize it?
Why not? Why can a two go to one? So why not be able to go and then off the rally be able to have?
You've worked with too many good players.
I think it's possible. I really do. That's the one I want to see, that somebody potentially could maybe do the use of two, and one, opposed to the.
So you steal a benefit from each one.
Yeah, I don't. But you asked about the guy's chances. What makes me think? Rafa just destroyed guys with one-handers. So I'm not liking his shot against Sinner with that one-handed backhand.
Right here. Thank you.
As a player and as a coach, what is the threshold for an injury before you pull the ripcord, call a withdrawal?
I'll give my opinion first. There's hurt and there's injured, right? Hurt is like tendonitis. Your elbow's throbbing, but there's a very low likelihood that the injury is worse, right? Where you're causing yourself a six-month injury instead of a 4-day injury, right? Like pain is fine. Risk for a bigger injury, I think, is where it enters the equation to pull the ripcord, at least from where I was sitting, right? If you have a groin pull and all of a sudden you feel it, you don't want to tear it, right? Whereas if your elbow's throbbing but it's because of overuse, then it's a little bit different. I don't know. Where was that line for you, BJ?
I'm probably the worst to ask about this because one of those.
Didn't you pull a calf muscle in the clinic last year?
I ripped my hamstring, remember, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm about the worst to ask about this because it's a quirky stat. I played over 820 matches in my ATP career. And you know how many times I pulled a ripcord?
0?
Nil. So, and I played through a lot of things. But part of becoming a player to a coach is I learned from Andre that probably a bunch of times it was stupid what I did because it cost me
months.
It cost me like maybe peaking and doing the right way. I do get totally annoyed now about players pulling a ripcord in the middle of a match and then they play next week.
I agree with that.
It's a really weird thing that like a guy is pulling a ripcord in the third round, a fourth round, and then literally it wasn't that bad that you could play next week, or you're playing the doubles the next day. There should be a rule against that. If you pull out of a match, you can't play next week. But when you, like Ben Shelton, for him to do what he did, he knew it must have been bad, that maybe it is only going to be up 3 weeks. It's a strain. But if he tried to push through that for that one match, or maybe to do better.
His entire livelihood is his left shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, guy throws gas. Like, you have to.
That's making a wise decision, but I was that dummy that I would have still played through it.
Yes.
No matter what, for me, because when you played like me, there was, you didn't think about tomorrow. You only thought about today. And literally, I grew up just battling. And I wouldn't worry about tomorrow, honestly.
I fully disagree. If you're Ben Shelton, respectfully, if you're Ben Shelton, and we saw the fourth set. If you were watching,
no, he did. I'm saying he did the right thing.
No, I know, but I do think there's a difference where it's like, if Ben Shelton has that thing and he has to get through one match, and there's a lot of Advil available, and it's like, I have to win 3 sets in a major, and is that worth potential damage? My answer is yes. Is it a realistic situation? And obviously you get a scan and you know what you're dealing with and everything else. But if you have to navigate 5 rounds of a major and you're compromised for 12 days, that's a very different scenario. That's a very different timeline in my mind than let it rip tater chip for 3 hours.
You know what? Like 97% of the ripcords and injury timeouts is when the player's losing. So, but when you see a guy like Joker pull out like in Australia in a semis, and he knew, or you saw with Shelton, then you obviously understand the big picture, because they're playing to win slams. A lot of players are playing to play 40 weeks a year, and so every week is about a paycheck, and you're week to week. So there's a lot of players that are in different, I call they're in areas and points of their career. So that does matter. But when you see a guy, like Djokovic, or you see a guy like what Ben Shelton had to do, they're thinking big picture. And sometimes if you forget that big picture, it can cost you a lot more time, which changes the big picture.
Yeah. Let's do 2 more questions right there, and then we'll let Brad get on his way. He's got to call some tennis matches
there's
tonight.
A pullout tonight now. Did you hear this?
No, what happened?
Oh. Are you
Breaking.
I just saw it like a text. So it looks like Vondrousova pulled out.
Against Sabalenka.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't know if people are on their cell, they can confirm it. So I think
it's confirmed right here.
Oh, we got time.
Yeah, so
settle in.
I think they're scrambling now on who they're going to put on, if they're going to have a match.
Put Venus and Layla Fernandez on Stadium Court.
All
Let's
right.
go.
They're playing right now.
All right, let's get to the.
I don't care. Move them.
Let's get to the question.
All right, two more questions.
That's tough to follow, but I know it's been a minute since we've had a U.S. man win.
Oh, I thought we were going to make it.
No, we didn't. So I was kind of curious. I know Fritz is playing tonight, but if you guys had to bet who might be the next U.S. man to win a U.S. Open tournament, I'd be curious to hear who you might think it'd be and why.
I kind of have thoughts, and it benefits no one if I say those things out loud. They have to be as sick of hearing about it as I am talking about it. So I wouldn't do that. There would be, newspaper candy the next day. It's just not worth it. What I will say is I'll take the opportunity to say this is not the same as when I stopped, right? And we have 4, 6. We had 23 men in the main draw of the U.S. Open. There is momentum. Tommy Paul's been in the semis of a slam. France has been in the semis of 2. Ben Shelton's been in the tail end of slams. Fritz has been in the finals. He's been in the semis. We're like, if we were going uphill for a while trying to answer that question, I feel like we actually have some momentum on our side for maybe the first time in a long, not the first time in a long time, but as much as we've had in a long time. So I'll choose the positive. I think they're doing great. And the women are fucking amazing. Like 4 straight slam finals with American women representation. So you can answer that if you want to.
Well, Stacey, just for clarity, for the record, I'll speak for you. He would like nothing more than for that no longer to be a trivia question. So this is not the 72 Dolphins here.
So I feel like Fritz is getting close. I feel like Sinner and Alcaraz are going to wipe out a lot of generation. It's like what the big 3 did.
I hate it when they do that.
Yeah. And I'm really annoyed that Sinner's not an American. I mean, it's like a German guy, an Austrian. You know, learn to speak German. He lives there. Shouldn't he have grown up in L.A.? Maybe
I don't know. You know what? I think we can all just be happy that Spain finally has a good male tennis player, right? Like, thank God they waited hours.
But you know what? If like last year, Alcaraz lost to Van der Sloot. I do think.
Try that again.
Yeah.
Do it again.
That's Tracy's tongue twister.
Yeah. Van der Sloot. Remember, you know,
Missing a syllable.
And his antelope.
yeah. So if a major does happen where you get something happen, one quirky one, where Alcaraz happens to lose, maybe one of them gets injured. There is a window, but I feel like honestly, if the next 10 majors. If literally nothing happens to Alcaraz and Sinner, what would you put the over-under on them winning the next 10?
All 10?
Yeah.
I mean, you almost have to bite your lip, and you can't believe how good they are. I was sitting courtside today watching Alcaraz, and Lehechka is a good player. That guy is a good player, and he just made him look like it was, just a first-round match. So it's up to the guys to get better. But if I had to pick one guy and coach one guy, that I feel like he has the best chance at Shelton because he has the biggest game and he's athletic. So if he's a stock, I put a buy rating on that.
All right, last question. We had one. There you go.
You like the buy rating on that?
I buy rating on Shelton for sure. Yeah, I love Ben.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. Andy, back after you split with Brad, I remember your game seemed to change a bit. You spin your forehands, going to the net more.
Yep.
Curious how much of that was strategic versus maybe injury or something else. And Brad, I'm curious if you had kept working with Andy, what would you have changed in his game?
Well, we're a minute over. This is going to take 27 minutes and and a box of Kleenex. So it wasn't immediately like people like to make the split like. It was later, but there was some stuff where I probably became a little too obsessed with my weaknesses as opposed to spending time on my strengths. I've said it before in this podcast. I had never spoken about it. I had a tear in my shoulder in 2008 where I had to kind of completely renegotiate a swing path. So lost a bunch of weight and started running a lot more. It was spinnier, all the while having the talking heads going, I don't understand why it's spinnier. It did me no good to talk about it. Right. The book was going to be out on it soon enough. You could see it from where you were sitting, but maybe that's a 6-month delay. And so it was probably maybe the answer is both. There's no doubt that the best I hit it was when I was with Brad.
So I'll just very simple, and I would tell him I think it was in Indianapolis, that if the rally goes longer than 5 shots on your serve, pull a ripcord. You're giving too much rhythm. Remember, I would say that a lot. Don't get in any extended rallies on your serve because you're just taking rhythm. And we really focus on you being a lot bolder on your second serve.
Big, yeah.
Yeah, and so he could go through a set where all of a sudden it was what Pete would do to players. You would feel like uncomfortable, that you wouldn't get any rhythm, and you could lose a 29-minute set. So I felt like I didn't want to think about any of the negatives in Andy's game. It was the positive that he could steal a quick set. And I would tell him that a lot. Pull a ripcord on this point.
Brad Gilbert, everyone.
Did they put the Venus doubles on? Did they listen to you?
No, I think they're on. I don't think they're listening to the show live, Brad. The powers that be at the U.S. Open. Brad,
Thank you,
you're
buddy.
always the best to listen to. I'll walk out with you. Thank you for watching Served. We appreciate you. Thank you to our partners at Amazon Prime. Okay, watch that first step, BG.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll be right out. JW, producer Mike, Social Sophie somewhere, Techie Sean somewhere. Thank you to Amazon again. We appreciate you.
guys.
It's been Served. Thanks to ServiceNow for their support. ServiceNow wants to help people do the fulfilling work they actually want to do. Work like hosting this podcast. You know what people don't want to do? Boring, busy work. Now with AI agents built into the ServiceNow platform, you can automate millions of repetitive tasks in every corner of your business. IT, HR, and more. So your people can focus on the work that they want to do. That's putting AI agents to work
for people. It's your turn. Get started at servicenow.com/AI-agents. Support for the show comes from Amazon Prime. Prime is more than just fast, free delivery. It's your go-to for streaming music, movies, and sports. Plus, it's also a great way to connect with the things you love. Into skiing? Stream ski films on Prime Video even when the slopes are bare. Love fishing? You can get new gear delivered fast and be back by the water in no time. Planning your next big trip? Prime helps you get everything you need faster than you can write your out-of-office email. Whatever you're into, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.